Hey guys, it's Brandon Miniman from PocketNow.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the unique and interesting features of the Toshiba G910, such as this screen on the front and the fingerprint reader on the side and some other things that are pretty interesting. Now this screen on the front is an OLED display, so it's very bright, it's only monochrome, the resolution is 96 by 39, so you don't get that much data on the front, but it does show you some interesting things. To start, I'm going to call my phone from my landline here. And you'll see what it looks like when a call comes through on the front screen. Many people think that the front of this device is ugly, and yes, I agree that it is quite ugly. It looks like a device from 1992 or something. So let's see what happens. I'm calling my phone right now. Okay, and you see what it does is it draws forth the caller ID from your phone book and associates the phone number to the name. It says my line because I'm calling from a landline. And to ignore the call, you press the red, and to answer it, you press the green, and from here you'd put it up to your face and use the speaker here and the microphone there to take the call. Okay, now let me go through what you can do with this external display. If we press the button to the left, we can scroll through our contacts and dial a contact from the front screen here. And it's showing me that I have a new message right now, so I'm going to try to get that away. This isn't very useful because I have about 500 contacts, and it would take me a really long time to find the one that I want here. But if you have a few contacts, that's helpful. Pressing to the right will go through your missed call notifications. It'll show you your next calendar appointment, which is useful. We can see if we have an unread Outlook email. We can change the profile, which is cool, so we can press the up or down button to rotate between silent, normal, and vibrate, and then we press the center button to set that. If we go over to the right one more time, it goes back to the time. Something else you can do is actually dial from this screen, though it's not too quick of a dialing action. If we press the green call button, we get a dial pad, and so I can kind of move the cursor around the screen and type out a number, although I don't know why I wouldn't just open up the phone folder and call that way, because this is going to take too long. So that's pretty much the functionality of the external screen. It's kind of useful. I wish you could see more information on it. It's a very small screen, but I like the fact that you don't have to open the folder to answer a call when it comes in. That saves the battery life and certainly is quite convenient too. So let's open the folder and talk about some more features. When you open the folder, the screen immediately turns on, which is good, and it opens to reveal this excellent keyboard. This is actually one of the best keyboards I've ever used because it's so large and it just feels great. It's basically the same as the keyboard on the AT&T Tilt, but every button is about 20 to 30% bigger, so that's really great. The stylus is placed in a very convenient location, often to the right, like here. And the reason that the stylus is so long is because they figure you're going to hold the device in your left hand, and you're going to be reaching quite far with the stylus, so you need that extra length. Let's go into the settings menu and take a look at something I want to show you. This device has a fingerprint scanner on the side here, which doesn't offer too much utility. Let me show you what you can do with it. So I'm going to click on the fingerprint. Whoops, went into the wrong thing there. Let me just zoom in on the screen a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to click on the fingerprint utility, and this is where we register a finger. So I'm going to register my right first finger. So I'm going to click on that, and what it requires me to do is, I'm going to try to tilt this so you can see the whole thing. Scan my finger 3 times. So 1, it says quality is too low, I gotta go slower. Swipe successful, and enrollment successful. Okay, great. So that means that my right index finger is enrolled, and then I can use it to do certain things like launch programs. That's pretty much it. There's no security software built into this, so you can't unlock the device with the swipe of your finger. I'll show you the utility in a second. And you can also set this biometric pad to scroll on lists, which is kind of useful, but it doesn't work too well. Let me show you. If I go into contacts and I kind of swipe my finger downward, it scrolls. You see that? But it's not too fast. It's very precise because you can't move very quickly. And now it's dialing something. But that's one of the features of the biometrics pad. And let me go into the program that will allow you to associate a a program action to a swipe of the finger. So if I go to... So as you can see here, if I swipe my left thumb, it'll open the calculator program. And if I select the right first finger, I can have it launch, let's say, Windows Media Player. And I'm going to click Done. Done. Okay, main battery low, got to charge my battery. But let me show you what that will do now. So if I go and I swipe my right index finger, guess I didn't get a good swipe there. Okay, so I've discovered something. In order to launch a program with your finger, get ready for this. You actually have to launch the program and put it in the foreground. So now that if I swipe my index finger, Windows Media Player opens. Yeah, extremely silly. I will never use this feature. Why should I have to launch a program to launch a program? I just don't see the use of that. So perhaps you can find some third-party security software that will utilize this biometric security pad, but out of the box, Toshiba offers very poor support for any sort of interesting functionality for that. Okay, so let's move on. In the first video, I tried to figure out these shortcut buttons that run along the side of the device. So we have one for messaging, looks like internet, calendar, and there are some others here too, such as media player. And I couldn't get them to operate by just pressing them here. Well, it turns out you have to press on the dot. So if I press on the dot, Windows Media Player launches. And of course, if I click on the dot on the checklist, I get tasks. Let me firmer press, and here's tasks. Now fortunately, all of these buttons can be customized. So if we go into Start and Settings, we go into Buttons, they act just like hardware buttons on any Windows mobile device. So we can go down and we see right button 1, right button 2, and they have a little icon, and of course you can click on it and just change the assignment of that button. So that's useful because this device really doesn't have that many hardware buttons. On the keyboard you have camera, and that's really it. So having these shortcut buttons are quite helpful on the screen there. Now something I want you to notice is that this device is pretty slow, unfortunately. I think it's because the screen has so many pixels. Did you just see that? The icons took about a second to load, unlike a device like the iMate Ultimate 9502 where everything is just right there. Let's go into File Explorer. There's a delay with everything that you do, and it gets a little exhausting to use, I have to be honest about that. Okay, so what I want to do now is continue the tour of the hardware. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, replace the stylus in the side. Here we have a video camera for making video calls. We can't do that in the US, certainly. We have the keyboard, of course, with a light sensor that will adjust the brightness of the screen if you want, and turn on the backlight on the keyboard when it gets dark. To the right of that, we have a soft reset hole, very conveniently placed right in the keyboard. I've actually found myself to have to soft reset this many times. There were times when I would close the phone and open it and the screen wouldn't turn on, or it would turn on after about 3 minutes. That's peculiar. So let's go around the device. On the bottom we have a mini USB port that is covered by a piece of plastic here. We have a lanyard loop here, of course the fingerprint scanner, a button to adjust volume up and down. To the right of that is a dedicated headphone port, but it uses this weird looking proprietary jack. It doesn't look like micro USB or anything like that. This device does come with a converter jack that will convert this to standard headphones, so at least that's good. On the top we have the slot for the micro SD card. Externally placed, that's good news. Okay, and to the right of that is the button to power on and off the device. And of course this micro SD slot cover takes a minute to get back on. And of course there's the hinge. There is some spring assist, so if I close it a little bit it will snap shut, and again I really like that sound that it makes when you close it. Let's flip over to the back. We have a 2 megapixel camera with autofocus, and it also has an LED fill light, which is always a welcomed addition. Here's a speaker, external speaker for speakerphone and that sort of thing. And finally, to wrap up, I just want to give you an idea of the programs that come installed on the G910, see if there's anything unique or interesting. Of course, we're going to cover this in depth in the review, which is coming up soon on PocketNow.com. So I'm going to start by going into the Start menu. And I find that the stiffness of the hinge is good enough to where I can press on the screen pretty hard and it doesn't move, so that's good. So let's see what we have here. This looks pretty much standard. We have Java applications. What we have here is image to text, which is a little bit of OCR that uses the camera to convert text that you take a picture of, so in a newspaper or a magazine or a business card, and it'll convert it into text on the screen, which is pretty neat. We'll cover that more later. We have Live Search, which I installed. Opera Browser. Is this Opera 9.5? No, it's not. It's Opera 8. I think it's 8.65. Let me take a look at that again. You can't see that because it's really tiny, but it is 8.65. It's the old version of Opera, which still does a pretty good job at rendering web pages, but it's nothing close to Opera 9.5. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to go into the settings menu real quick. And let's see, everything's pretty much standard. We have the fingerprint reader. We have video call settings. I can't touch those because we're in the US. Going into system, we have master clear, which will reset everything back to the way it was before. Going down the list, everything is pretty much standard here. Let's see how we're doing on memory right now. I know I have a few programs open. We've got 35 megabytes free. Okay, that's decent. Running programs, we have a lot of running programs right now, so that makes sense that we don't have that much program memory running or left. And over in connections, nothing's really unique. Wireless Manager hasn't been skinned. It's the standard Windows Mobile 6 Wireless Manager, which is pretty ugly, but that's okay. We don't need a fancy Wireless Manager. And that'll do it for this video. Again, we're going to have a full review coming up, and we're going to cover every aspect of this device and run benchmarks on it. You can see that at PocketNow.com soon. That's it.